Hey, welcome to a slightly different video today. I've been meaning to, especially with the end of the year coming up, to do some different formats of videos, and lovely Alyssa over at The Redhead had tagged me in a book tag, and I thought I would go along with it because it sounded kind of fun. So I'm just going to answer a few questions. I'm not really going to tag anybody because I don't really know many YouTube people, but if anyone wants to answer any of these questions, I will put them in the description below, and I would love to hear your answers about to these questions and about any of the books that you've read, especially if you want to recommend any to me. I would love any new recommendations. So this is the 1001 books tag. And the first question is, do you follow any book lists? It can be prize lists or a challenge like the Rory Gilmore challenge. I don't really. The way I find my books is just I take recommendations from anyone who wants to give them to me. I also just Google book recommendations or best books of 2021 and just kind of read through, see what I'm interested in, add anything and everything to my list. So I'm not very picky about where I get my book recs from, which leads to some interesting reads and some reads that I wish I'd never read. But if you have any book lists, let me know, because that might be a better way to follow that. The next question says, approximately how many physical books do you currently own and how many ebooks? I don't own many books. It's really hard for me to want to buy a book when I finish it in, say, a day, and then I've got this book that I've got to put things. I don't really like storing things. I don't like things, but I do have a nice little bookshelf. I'm looking up at it right now. I mean, a few books. It's kind of an eclectic collection because they're not necessarily books that I've chosen, just books that I've gathered over time. I have lots of children's books for my daughter, and always am happy to get more of those, anything that can encourage her to read. And ebooks, I mean, I've got a few. Mostly, if I can't get it from the library, I just decide the book doesn't exist. So I don't own very many books. Books read, approximately how many books have you read in your lifetime, and do you keep track? I have no idea for my lifetime, and I've never really kept track until the past few years. So when I was in, elementary school, high school, I would come home and read for a couple hours every day. I loved reading. I have no idea how many books I went through, but I loved to read and reread books. Then I didn't read very much for fun during college. I just kind of stuck with the coursework. And after having my daughter, a year after I was out of school, I started to realize, hey, wait a minute. I would love to get back into just reading for fun. And I have no chill, so it wasn't just an occasional book. Since the 18th of August, 2017, I have read 648 books. And I just keep adding them on Goodreads. That's when I started keeping track. But beyond that, I have no idea. So I'm sure I've read thousands of books over my lifetime. And my Goodreads does not include books that I have read before August 18th, 2017. So anything before that, I have no idea, haven't kept track. So the next question is Arabian Nights. Have you read any stories from the Arabian Nights? Do you have a favorite? If you haven't read it, do you want to? I know that I read some stories. I think it was part of a school assignment in college, but I don't remember them, and I can't tell you a favorite story because I just don't remember. I don't know. Has anybody read it and thought, yeah, this is an essential read and you should read it? Should I go in and read it again? I don't know, somebody tell me, because I'm not feeling some huge draw that I have to read it, but maybe it's great. I just don't remember from the small amount that I have read of that book. The next question is flavors. Do you have a favorite flavor or food? And for me, I mean, I'm pretty okay eating lots of things. For me, like favorite would probably be anything lemon flavored, cinnamon, mint, chocolate, especially sweets. So that's kind of what I tend to go for on that. And the question is pages. Have you read a book that is over 1,001 pages? Is there one that you recommend, and is it worth the time? What is the longest book you have read? Now, honestly, I have no clue. I really don't know. I think the book Count of Monte Cristo is over 1,000 pages, and I loved that one. Highly recommend. Get a good translation. I liked the Penguin Classics one. I think that's the one I read. I read that a few times through high school, and I loved that book. I know the Bible is probably that long, and I've read that. So I'm not sure what the longest book I've read, but I feel like it's so subjective, like when you're reading it, like what it feels like. The Count of Monte Cristo does not feel like it's 1,000 pages. I can just tear through that and it's lovely. And then there's other books that are 100 pages that I'm like, this book is so long and I'm never gonna get through it. So I don't really know. I haven't kept track. But yeah, Count of Monte Cristo, if you want a really long book that it just flies by, yeah, that's a good one. Okay, buckets. Do you have a non-bookish bucket list? What is one thing on the list? I don't really have a bucket list. I think that anything that I can imagine, life just kind of is gonna give me more than what I was planning on in the first place. I am really not much of a thrill seeker and adventure seeker, but you know, life shoves me into that. So, I mean, I'm living far away from family, learning a new language, all sorts of things that I don't think I ever would have put on my bucket list, but have ended up happening anyway. So I'm sure life will come up with a lot more fun things. The next question is, do you have a lucky number, and is there a story behind it? And I don't have a lucky number, and there's not a story behind it, so that's an easy question to answer. The next question is authors. Do you have a favorite author and or genre? And I used to have a lot of favorite authors, especially back in high school and junior high. I'd stick with one and just read everything that they ever wrote. I remember liking Garth Nix, and I loved the one that wrote, Nancy Farmer. I really liked Nancy Farmer. I don't know, there were a lot of good ones, but now I feel like my reading has kind of been more broad, and I don't often pick a single author and really go for it. But as for genres, I really enjoy nonfiction, really well-researched books, because I feel like I'm getting the most out of them, especially if they're contemporary. For example, I loved the book Empire of Pain by Patrick Radden Keefe, and to be fair, he might be one of my favorite authors because I read another book by him, Say Nothing, and that was also excellent. Just really pulls you in and is very informative and helps you really understand a topic. So I love that, but I also am kind of a sucker for something light and fun and escapism-y on occasion. So, you know, it depends on the day, but in general, some, you know, nonfiction, teach me something new. I like that kind of book. And the last one is 1,001 activities. Do you have a favorite outdoor activity? And for me, really, it's walking around the city and going out to a park with some friends, let our kids run around. I can have some adult conversation, we can talk, and that's my favorite outdoor activity. I like to just sit outside and enjoy that. I mean, I love on occasion to go to the beach or one of those kinds of things, but it's so much effort. Just if I want just casual enjoyment of the outdoors, I like just going out to a park and sitting there in a little bit of nature and letting the kids play. That's my number one. That is it for this tag. If anyone wants to answer some of these questions or do the tag themselves, I will have all the questions put in the description box. Thank you so much to Alyssa for tagging me. Her YouTube channel is linked below, and she is much more knowledgeable about books than I am and has really great thoughts. So if you want some really in-depth, really useful thoughts and book recommendations, go check out her channel. It will be linked down below. And I will also link the original creator of this tag, Miss Reads a Lot, and that will be linked in the description box below as well. And let me know if you liked this video, if you like maybe a different format and something other than just the book wrap-ups, or if you want me to stick with maybe more of those. I am hoping with the end of the year to do a few 2021 best of books, worst books I've read in 2021, those kinds of videos, kind of branch out a little bit. So if there's anything you would like to see, please let me know, and I will see you all on the next one.